Final segment of the show for today. The topic is political unrest in Africa, and the guest is Dr. LMadu3. Now, Dr. LMadu3, this is the final segment here, and let's give you an opportunity during this final segment to sort of bring things together in reference to Libya and talk about the United States, well, however you wish to deal with it.
Well, you know, with the UN passing a resolution today, you know, imposing a no-fly zone over Libya, probably the days of the Libyan regime is numbered. How long it's going to survive, you know, nobody knows. Gaddafi, at this moment, according to information, has about 3 of the major ethnic groups, supporting him. The others have defected. He's from the Gaddafi ethnic group. So his own group, the Gaddafi ethnic group, the Magraha ethnic group, the guy who bombed the Lockerbie plane.
Okay.
Abdel Basset El Magrahi.
He was part of that.
He's from the Magraha ethnic group.
That explains him.
Exactly, and that's part of the motivation to help him solidify the support from that ethnic group. And Major Abdel Salam Jaloud is also from the Magraha ethnic group. And so the Zuweya and the Misurata and the Obeidi and the most numerous ethnic group, the Wafala, have already defected to the other side. So that will tip the balance on how things happen on the ground, So with this imposition of no-fly zone and the sweeping wording of the resolution, it gives the UN authority even to send in ground troops if necessary. So the outcome right now is anybody's guess. Nobody knows what is going to happen. How does this affect the rest of the continent? If you look at the rest of Africa, almost 1/4, about 15 or so of their leaders have stayed over 20 years in power and also abusing their people more than even the colonel. It's not that most of it is not giving attention. In Equatorial Guinea, Obiang has been there since 1979. In fact, he came to power, by slaughtering his uncle. His uncle, Masias Nguema, almost slaughtered 1/4 of the population, drove the other 1/4 into exile. So when Obiang took over in 1979, he was the army general. Yeah, he slaughtered his own uncle and the rest to take over power. Since then, he's been in power. And to make matters worse, those who guard him are not even his own country's soldiers, but Moroccan troops, to make sure nobody overthrows him. Yeah, he hired Moroccan troops, to protect him. In Angola, President Dos Santos has been there since 1979, after the death of President Agostinho Neto. He died in Moscow, at the operating bed, in 79. Dos Santos has been there since 79. And Angola has a lot of oil and has been through a devastating civil war between the MPLA and UNITA. In Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni has been there since 1985, after he overthrew, the government of General Okello. He's been in power. Mugabe has been there since 1980, since he took over, from Ian Smith in Zimbabwe, which was at that time called, Rhodesia. In Chad, President Idris Deby has been there since 1991. In Eritrea, President Afwerki has been there since 1993. In Ethiopia, President Meles Zenawi has been there since 1991, after the overthrow of President Mengistu of Ethiopia. In Sudan, President Omar Hassan el-Bashir has been there since 1989, when he overthrew the government of Sadiq el-Mahdi, a democratically elected government, of President el-Mahdi. In Gambia, Yahya Jammeh has been there since 1994, when he overthrew President Jawara's democratically elected government. Now he calls himself a doctor of curing AIDS. That's what he says he's doing now. He can cure AIDS. That's correct. In Ivory Coast, we still have a problem. Gbagbo has been there since 2009, and then last year, he lost an election that was, adjudged, free and fair to Alassane Ouattara. But Gbagbo insists that he's the legitimate president, because Ouattara, in his own opinion, is not a citizen of Ivory Coast, and therefore cannot be president. And that's really the problem you're having now in that country. and on king in Swati, in Swaziland, has been, king there since 1986. So most, in talk of Cameroon, Paul Biya has been there since 1982, since he took over from President Ahidjo of Cameroon. So all these leaders, are trembling now with what is happening in Libya. And they know now with the international community watching, they can just start shooting their citizens anywhere they like. That's what motivated the UN to impose a no-fly zone. So they know it might happen to them if their people come out.